Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. He spent 17 years playing international cricket for the West Indies, winning 3 world titles and a record 16 domestic T20 titles. A talented man, he has also scored a big win in song with his 2016 hit Champion, garnering over 120 million views on YouTube. This man from Santa Cruz in TNT is a former West Indies captain, a DJ, and a true-born entertainer. He's Dwayne John Bravo, and he joins us in studio. Welcome, Mr. Bravo. Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. You've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, it's good to be back with my friends, my buddies. Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. Same to you.
All the best to everyone.
Yeah, I think he has made more appearances as a West Indies cricketer on the SportsMax Zone than anyone else, George.
Yes, yeah.
And I guess there's a good reason for that.
Perhaps so. Well, if you're not counting the fact that Wavell, who used to host.
Well, yes.
Yeah, not counting the host.
Yes,
Wavell
yes.
Hines, yeah?
Yes.
So, DJ, you called time on your stint as a, well, not stint because it wasn't short. The period in your life which you dedicated to West Indies, you said, boy, I've done all I can, it's time to leave. How does it feel to not have that on your plate anymore?
Yeah, well, something like that will always be like a sad moment. You'll have some sad feelings about it, but then for me, I have peace with myself and my career. I think to serve West Indies, as you mentioned, for 17 years. If I ask anyone 17 years ago, that was my childhood dream, to play for West Indies, represent West Indies at the highest level, and to have a career like I did. I'm very thankful for that, and you know, I leave the game with some comfort, knowing that I play the game with, you know, I give my all 100% at all times, irrespective of who is the captain. All captains can vote to know that. They always get 100% from me, regardless of what. I love the game, and I was happy that I was able to have a career over 17 years.
Mm-hmm. You've had injuries along the way, but none of the kind to keep you out. And then again, you've been one of the fittest men to play for the West Indies, perhaps all time, given the career that you've had and the number of engagements that you've had. But when you look back, you say you look back and you feel satisfied. When you look back at the highs, and there have been many, there have been highs in Test cricket. People forget that 113 in Australia. You've had highs in ODI cricket. You've had highs in T20 cricket. We're talking about the West Indies part. We're not talking about the franchise part just yet. So you've had number of highs playing for the West Indies, and there have also been disappointments. When you look at the sum total of what you've been able to do with the career, do you have any regrets that perhaps I could have done better in tests? Maybe my numbers aren't what they should have been in ODI cricket based on my ability. Maybe my T20 numbers could have been even better, mirroring what I did in franchise cricket. How do you assess those 3 departments in terms of whether or not you hit the mark now that you've retired and you're able to look back?
Yeah, I always have asked myself these questions, and I know that I could have done better in all aspects of it, to be honest. In terms of Test cricket, I think I was now about to take off. You know, my first 6 years of Test cricket, I was young, got my first Test cap at 20 years old. You know, had 1 season in first-class cricket, and I learned most of my cricket at the Test level. So I was just playing off a natural ability, natural talent, and when I started to understand the game and, you know, starting to become a senior player after 6 years of playing Test cricket, after 40 Test matches, is when the politics come in, and I was no longer selected. And then, you know, sadly my Test career come to a sad end, and a lot of people, you know, maybe say why he didn't play more Test matches. It was beyond my control. I was always fully available to represent West Indies in the longest format. But again, circumstances beyond my control didn't allow it. And I know I could have scored more Test hundreds. You know, in terms of the bowling, I was more like the 4th seam bowler kind of thing. But in a nutshell, yes, I think I could have achieved more.
Yeah, DJ, your first match for the West Indies was an ODI against England in Guyana. I think Lara was still the captain, but Sarwan was the captain for that particular match. Can you take us back to that experience, what it felt like wearing the maroon cap for the first time, and your teammates at the time and where West Indies cricket was, because it was at a point where, like it is now, the struggle had started.
Yeah, and it's funny that I was saying to my friend just now, I said when I made my international, when I get that call up, took the flight, go to Guyana, excited, looking forward to it. My childhood hero, Lara, is a captain. Sawan is there, Gail is there, Dylan. So these are the players who I look up to before. And then the manager, Tony Howard at the time, called me to his room to collect my uniform. And when I get there with all the excitement to get my uniform, I receive it in a black plastic bag kind of thing. And that is not something you expect when you first get your first...
We call it a scandal bag here, lads.
Yeah. Your first
not good,
call
not
up.
good. Yeah. That's a good look.
I have a question to ask after this, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was like, no, I wasn't expecting this, but at the end of the day, that did not...
deter your...
the way how I play the game. I was just excited and I'm happy. But the reason why I bring that up, because this thing's still happening now. Like even 17 years, 16 years later, you're still seeing players getting the uniform and bags, or some now and some tomorrow.
And you have incontrovertible evidence that that doesn't happen with other test teams, international teams.
I don't have that. I'm not in other teams, but I don't think at a professional level these things should actually happen, to be honest. I look at over the years, I haven't seen much development, infrastructure in West Indies cricket to enhance the talent that we have, because we always have talent and ability, but other countries have it too.
Yes.
Not only West Indies. But they enhance their talent and ability with infrastructure, with science, with programs, with everything. We don't have it here. We just rely on natural ability.
I'm glad you pointed that out about getting your gear that you had dreamt about in a unfashionable looking plastic bag. George and I had a discussion about Hetmeyer and West Indies cricket and how players feel about West Indies cricket, a segment that you said you watched and you enjoyed. I was making the point during that discussion, one of many, tangents that the discussion went on, that there's something about West Indies cricket at the moment that does not inspire new players coming in to continue striving for the best. I have a story from a former West Indies player who spoke, similarly to what you just said, of his first experience getting a West Indies pick, getting in the West Indies dressing room, and when he saw the environment, the discussion and everything, he sat back and asked himself, wow, is this what I've dreamt of all my life, to play for the West Indies? Almost as if it was a letdown.
Yeah, it happened. It happened. Like I said, it happened to me. It happened to, players who are coming in now, young Drakes, for example. Obviously, he was in the later part of the IPL with me, with Chennai Super Kings. And we both went over to join the West Indies team. And to get his room at the time, it took like almost 4 hours. But they already know he's coming. They know we are coming there. Like, why it takes so long. So some of the off-the-field things that you shouldn't expect from an international setup keep happening. But a lot of people don't know about these things. And, it might sound petty. It might sound as though players making excuses. I'm not the type of person to be all player friendly, because I also believe players have a responsibility to also know that there are certain things that you have control over. So your own personal fitness, your attitude towards the game, these are all you have to have that pride within yourself and that hunger to make sure that you don't shortcome yourself when it comes to fitness, punctuality, how you play the game, how you go about it. But yes, we feel let down as players at times. I mean, our first official warm-up game for the World Cup, I don't know if you guys was aware of it, but we had also playing our practice pants.
Practice pants?
Yeah. So
that didn't get back here.
No.
So that is some of the things, we had to play practice pants. We watched South Africa using the same kit manufacturer. They have the full kit, but we were still scrambling. I mean, at the time we went there as the defending champions and all these things, you know, a powerhouse team, yeah, but some of the things that transpired, you know, I see the captain have to deal with so much off the field stuff that he have no right to deal with, you know, but he has to take that responsibility because he's the captain of the team, you know, the team looked towards him to solve these problems. You know, we had to switch hotels before the tournament start, all these different things, and it was just chaos. It was just chaotic, but I wouldn't say that was the reason why we didn't play well, because there's no excuse. I think we just did not had a good tournament as individuals. The senior players did not actually do well as we expected to, and in a tournament like this, you know, games come quick and fast.
You know, there's a question to ask about the World. Well, there are questions to ask about the World Cup and some comparisons, but we are almost upon the break. So I'm going to just put a short question to you as we go to the break. In your international career, from an international perspective, what's the most memorable game? That one game, whether Test, ODI, or T20, in the maroon colours. Well, you'd wear white if you're in Test, but you get the point. Representing the West Indies for all that time, those 17 years, the most memorable game for you as an individual, which one?
I think winning the first T20 World Cup in Sri Lanka, that one was special because we went there, no one gave us a chance, and you know, you hear every commentary, every commentators, everyone, the pundits, no one gave West Indies a chance. And I think we went there thinking that, okay, we are some of the best players as individuals, but everyone always questioned our commitment to West Indies, only play as a team, you know, and we really won. I think that first World Cup was very special.
Hear you on that. All right, DJ Bravo, you don't have to fret saying, well, it's done already. No, it's not done yet. He's going to be here for the whole show. Take a break. He come back with more.
Bravo, DJ Bravo, DJ Bravo, DJ Bravo, champion, 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 champion. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, Dwayne DJ Bravo is live in the studio with us on the SportsMax Zone today. DJ has already completed one of many segments that he will be on the show today. He'll be on for pretty much the entire Thursday SportsMax Zone. DJ, do you know who are second on the list of the most caught and bold dismissals in T20 internationals? Who is that person?
I went first. I didn't know.
All right. George was touching on the World Cup story just now because it is the last representation that you had with West Indies cricket. You, I'm sure, would be very aware of how contentious the discussions were throughout the region with fans and so on. First about the selection of the team and people feeling, you know, that there were players who were past their best who went to the World Cup. There was also the feeling that Polly got the team he wanted. No one knows exactly what happened in the selection room, but the general feeling is that Polly was strong in the selection room and pretty much got a team that he wanted. You are close to Polly your entire playing career. How did you feel about the team going to the World Cup? You've already said that it was disappointing that the team didn't perform. But do you feel that team was equipped to retain the title?
I think we had, I think we had a squad that we could have defended the title if we had the form, you know, if players kicked. Yeah, so if the players, because we had experience and we had youths, and that is what you always want in any team, to have that balance. The reality is that we just did not perform, we did not do justice to our talent, and we get knocked out. You know, definitely someone like a Sunil Narine would always miss. You know, but I don't know if to say it's fair to say Paulie get the exact team that he want. I think there was some discussions, some tough discussions. You know,
what's the story with Sunil Narine, though? I have to ask because I would think that Paulie would have wanted him, but we hear that he didn't meet the fitness requirements. What's your impression of what happened there?
I have no clue what happened.
but the team would have been better with him, don't you think?
Of course, it would have been better with him. We all tried to get him, even as a replacement. We tried to convince him, but I think he had made up his mind after the IPL at that time. He's a new dad as well, so he maybe wanted to go back home. But we definitely would have loved, I'm sure Polly also would have loved to have Sunil, but again, we honestly don't know.
The pitch conditions made batting difficult for the West Indies based on how West Indies batsmen tend to like the ball coming onto the bat. You said the players just didn't perform, although you think you had a roster that could have defended the title. Would the pitch conditions be one of the reasons why you would suggest there was a failure from the batting department and the batsmen not adjusting to the conditions?
I wouldn't put it onto the conditions, because if you look at Sri Lanka conditions where we win is slower than the UAE.
Yes.
We win in India, which is also very similar. So again, I wouldn't put it to conditions. I will just put it to the games come quick, fast, and we as players did not perform. You know, we tried to play the brand that we are accustomed playing, and unfortunately it didn't work, and we paid the price for that. And with the time, it was just too late to adjust and adapt.
Yeah.
And you know, two individuals that, you know, Pura and Hetmaya, these two guys, I think, you know, to throw another player, someone like Ashraf in Rutherford as well. These three players, I think, is the future, but I also believe that they need to be more hungry. They have to have that appetite for runs and being successful and want to do well for themselves, for West Indies, or whichever team you play for. Like, once you cross that line, is where your pride has to come in. And make sure that your cricket is taken care of.
We did some analysis before the World Cup, and we presented some numbers, DJ, that showed, well, that confirmed that this World Cup squad, this T20 World Cup squad, the last T20 World Cup squad, had played more T20 games in preparation for the World Cup than any squad before. So there were a lot of games. You didn't play most of them, but you played enough, and most of the players played enough. I say that to ask, was there a point preparing for the tournament where you said to yourself, I'm just not feeling the vibe I did in the two previous World Cups that we won? I'm just not feeling the same thing. I'm hoping something will click, but it's not feeling the way it did like when we won the previous two World Cups. Was there ever that point for you?
No, I never felt that way. And that's the honest truth. The first World Cup was a little iffy because, again, you know, a lot of us wasn't like someone like a Russell and a Pollard. They were now coming into their own and all these things. So Johnson, Charles, and these guys was now coming into their own. So we wasn't sure, you know. And then the oppositions have, like, you know, Hussey and these guys were still playing. But with this current one, to say I never see it coming. I remember when the day of our first game, I talked to Bishop this morning. Despite of what happened in the two warm-up games, I still felt that we have what it takes to get the job done. I honestly didn't see it come. I didn't expect a team that has so much experience to struggle with the bat for so long. I honestly didn't expect that, because I always tell the team, like, with the way how our bowling group was moving in those last 12, 14 months, we built up a template, especially when it comes to the back end of the game. We look at Obed McCoy, myself, Jason, all of us. We just needed runs. We just needed runs, and our batsmen, myself included, who was with the bat, we just didn't deliver.
How much pressure were you feeling after the first two defeats? And when I say you, yourself, and well, you're an experienced guy, you can read the room if you just sit in the room. If nobody talks, you have an experienced DJ to just be able to read the room and know what the mood is. Describe for us the pressure that was building up within the team after those first two opening defeats and you realize that the margin for error was almost gone.
Yeah, the pressure was there. I can't lie and deny it and say there wasn't pressure, because we know going into, as you mentioned, a lot of question marks was on some of the players in the squad. So that was a aware factor for us. And we wanted to be so tight to make sure and help each other. I remember Chris speak to us before the first game, and he was in tears because it was his last big moment. And after hearing him speak, after playing for 21 years or something like that, and in tears to know that, okay, his career is coming to an end, but this is the biggest World Cup stage and he wants to do well. And the pressure that he went into the World Cup under, right? We all feel it for him. And the entire squad wanted him to do well. And he was under so much pressure that he was never able to be himself, because he had was to prove a point. Despite of what he have achieved, he still had us to prove to the people, the region, himself, if he's still good enough. But we as the players, as his teammates, never make it feel as though for him that he has to prove himself to us. We wanted it to be, if Chris can't click, if Paulie or Russell, someone else have to take the mantle. That's how we
Just indulge me, Lance. So, just two more. So, would you admit then, looking back, that given the pressure that Gayle was placed under by his critics, and that he put himself under to deliver for West Indies in this last big dance, and I'm sure that feeling would have extended even to some of the younger members who wanted to make an impression. Do you feel, DJ, on reflection, that perhaps at some point the team individually and collectively were hobbled, were perhaps handicapped by pressure, by fear of not doing well, and that counted against the team's performance? Would you agree with that?
No, I agree with that.
You wouldn't really put yourself under too much pressure.
No, I don't think...
with everything at stake.
But obviously the World Cup is at stake and stuff, but because, again, it's a short tournament, and, okay, you said, okay, which is the best 11? And you pick your best 11. The best 11 against, our first game against South Africa.
Against England.
England, right. England. The first game against England, we say, all right, that is a 150-yard. We don't see that happening to us again. So we say, okay, we regroup, let's go again. We have to bounce up. We have South Africa next. We just play them in the Caribbean. We know what to expect, right? You go into that game, again, another failures with the bat. So now that's 2 games gone. And then now, obviously, the captain and the coach and the selectors have to now make changes, because you cannot say, well, we have another game and another game. It's not like a CPL or IPL. You have 14 or 12 games to play. So we had us, the management team had us to make decisions and stuff. I know a lot of people were saying that, Chris should have been dropped. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. While
and that Chase should have played from the start because of how well he did in the warm-up game.
And the CPL.
And the CPL,
Yeah, so like I said, after the fact, we'll always know who was the best person.
Why is after the fact?
Yeah. But like I said, I personally will not, if I still do it all over again, I will do the same thing.
All right, let me ask you this last one before I hand you back to Lance. One of the things I've picked up, DJ, from the fans, and the fans, they're insufferable. The fans, before the tournament, they were quarreling about selection and what they thought the team would do. During the tournament, the defeat. If you thought you had it hard, you should be here like us, listening to the fans directly. They were beside themselves with rage and disappointment and can't believe the West Indies are defending the thing like this and not living up to what the West Indies are. Powerhouse all time, but of course defending champions, powerhouses then. So I say that to ask you, do you find it necessary at all to, on this show, perhaps say to the cricket-loving public of the Caribbean that, well, I, DJ Bravo, personally, I'm sorry for what happened at the T20 World Cup. I tried my best. It just didn't happen. It wasn't for a lack of trying. It was just that it didn't happen. Would you find it comfortable with you to say that to them today?
Yeah, I can say that, and I can say that on behalf of my teammates as well. I mean, yes, everybody expected us to win the World Cup, or even if not win, at least had a better showing. And I apologize, but at the end of the day, it's sports. And, you know, you look at the West Indian fans, we look at the Indian fans. They are different. They was main favorites. And after the first game,
I thought they would have won. I picked India to win the World Cup, yeah.
You will always pick them to win with their squad and stuff. And by the first game, they were basically almost out of the World Cup before us. They were knocked out, you know. So, but I can guarantee to our fans it wasn't a lack of preparation. It wasn't a lack of attitude. We just did not click. And the expectation of us to do better, we just did not deliver.
Yeah, we continue to chill with DJ Bravo after the break. And remember, the semi-finals of Jamaica's schoolboy football, Issa Champions Cup, will be played on Saturday with live coverage on SportsMax and Scene TV. In a repeat of the 2019 final, defending champions Kingston College Purple Power will face Clarendon College in the opener, followed by Intl Technical and Jamaica College. Coverage starting at 12:30 p.m., 1:30 Eastern Caribbean time with a pre-game show.
Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Still with us in studio is the champion himself, Dwayne John Bravo. These are his test numbers, that high score, 113 against Australia, and the average, 31.42. You know what? We have to say it for what it is. It is better than many of the West Indies batsmen now are active. And that says something about where our test cricket, the status of our test cricket is at the moment, or the state of our test cricket is at the moment. These are his stats in T20Is, 91 matches, 1,255 runs, high score of 66, 22 average and a strike rate of 115, 4 half centuries, 78 wickets, and ODI, a high score of 112, not out, 2 centuries, 10 half centuries, and just one shy of even 200 wickets, just one shy of 200 wickets with 199. Lance, you were on the bench when we were examining the World Cup performance just now.
Yeah, well, just coming out of the World Cup, because a lot of your successes, DJ, have come to the latter part of your career in T20 internationals. You've won 8 T20 titles, I think, with Trinidad and Tobago alone, not to mention global franchises. You seem to be illustrating the song that you sang about being a champion. Is there something inside of you, you know, innate in Dwayne Bravo that propels you to success when you take the cricket field?
I just think from a kid, my childhood coach, Charles Gillen, you know, was 7, 8 years old. He said to me, you know, the cricket field is my stage, and I'm an entertainer. Every time I cross that line to take that field, I must entertain the people and play the game with a certain level of passion and pride, and that never come out of my head as an 8-year-old. And I play for my club, Queen's Park Cricket Club, that I played for all these years. The same way I play for Queen's Park is the same way I play for West Indies. I'll play for Trinidad, I'll play for Chennai, I'll play for whoever I play for. I play the game one way with that same passion and energy.
You're 38 years old now. You've quit international cricket. For how much longer do you anticipate that you'll play franchise cricket?
It's hard to say at the moment. Some days I feel I say, you know what, I could go another 3-4 years, and then some I say, nah, maybe a year. Depends on how my body feels, but I started to eat differently, train differently to keep my fitness up, because I want to play as long as possible, but I don't want to play too long where it is I cannot move from point A to point B. You know, when I reach that stage, I know my time is gone. So as long as I can continue to contribute with bat and ball in the field, I will play as long as my body allows me to.
Yeah. You have a well-documented rivalry with Kyron Pollard, who is your friend, but also a huge rival. You know, even in CPL cricket, you hardly ever played for the same team because Polly wasn't always with the Trinbago Knight Riders. The record suggests you have dismissed him 9 times, more times than any other bowler has dismissed him. Can you talk to us a little about Bravo versus Polly?
Well, it's always a big battle because, I mean, the time I come on to bowl most time is either he get the better of me or I get him out, because he has to keep coming and I have to try my best to try and either get him out or contain him. But it's not an easy person to bowl to, definitely. Andrew Russell as well, threw him in the universe was. The West Indian players honestly give me the most problems.
For real?
Yeah, easily, hands down.
Roughing you up, eh?
Yeah.
I wanna go to, just jump back to something you said. It wasn't a part of the question, any question that we put to you, but you mentioned it in your answer. You identified Nicholas Pooran, your countryman. You identified Shimron Hetmeyer, and you spoke of Sherfane Rutherford. And you said that there was an issue to deal with hunger, that you wanted to see them more hungry, hungrier for success. We had the issue with Hetmeyer, and I know you watched the segment. The issue of fitness. Now, if there's one thing nobody has ever said about DJ Bravo, is that he looks unfit, or he appears unfit, or that he is unfit. You'd never see your name.
I remember writing scripts about DJ Bravo a lot earlier in his career, George, and the term I always attached to DJ Bravo was effervescent.
Yes, sir.
He was just always this live wire on the field.
Yes.
So continue.
There you go. So I say that to say, the Hetmeyer issue and the lack of fitness, DJ, with his talent, as a professional yourself, his former teammate not so long ago with the West Indies, are you perhaps disappointed that he can have the charge laid against him that he's not kept his body in the shape required to do the serious business of representing the West Indies at the top level?
Yeah, as a fan of Hetmeyer, I will be disappointed to know that he no longer selected again because of the same fitness problems. And if someone having issues with fitness, you would like to see improvement. But with him, it's like you're not seeing the improvements. I'm not sure if he has that drive to work on his fitness. But he's someone I have a lot of time for, because I believe that the ability that he have, play spin well, could play fast bowling. He's dangerous when he's on the go. But you just have to, as an individual, you need to have more pride if you want to be an international athlete. They'll have young players starting to look up to Hetmeyer and Pooran and these guys. So it's very disappointing. I know it's disappointing for Caribbean fans as well.
Yes.
To know that this individual keep getting not selected because of fitness reasons, and these are things you have control over. You mightn't be able to have full control over your own personal performance because it could go into a bad patch. But
do you know him well enough to send him a message to just encourage him to get back on track?
Yeah, I do. I could. We talk. Actually, in the World Cup, I actually single out Hetmeyer and Pooran in front of the entire team. We had a crisis meeting after our second game, and yes, all of us was having a bad tournament, but I single out these two guys because I believe not only in the World Cup, but in previous games, they are not consistent enough to be our two main players, especially with the batting 3 and 4, 4 and 5. And you look at these other players compared to other teams, number 3 and 4, 4 and 5, they are delivering.
Consistent
and
game after game.
If Pooran and Hetmeyer was delivering and firing, the Russell and the Pollard and these guys will have be able to play their finishing roles. So I single out them in the meeting, but I also talk to them at the side, tell them don't get offended. But I just believe that they are too good to not take full responsibility and do justice for their talent. Pooran is very good with his work ethic.
Yeah.
Pooran is very vocal in team meetings and stuff, so you could see, he's the vice captain and he lead the team already. I think Hetty also need to see himself as a leader and take more responsibility within himself to get at that level like what Puran is at.
Yeah, just administration here now, Lance, is where we're going to go, because you spoke about the politics that, you know, cut short a test career that you were convinced was ready to go to another level from where you had it by the time you had played your 40th test. So you've seen and played under the Dave Cameron presidency. You've played under this Ricky Skerritt presidency now, and you know better than most how important it is for player relations with the leadership of West Indies cricket to be harmonious, or else you can have on-field problems because of those off-field issues. What would you say continues to not be quite right with the relationship between the leadership of Cricket West Indies and the player group itself?
Man, I think, as I said, with Dave and me, I had Ernest Hilaire and what's his next one, Mr. Hunt?
Yeah,
Julian Hunt.
Julian Hunt, that was there with him as well. I just figure from top level, the politics is so strong where if I vote for you, you get this, I look after you. But if you are against me, I will not look after you. Like, those petty little politics things affect cricket. You need to stop. At some point in time, somebody need to put a stop to it, because the reality is it doesn't matter who is the president or who is the CEO. It's like they have the same thinking. Nothing changed, like literally nothing changes. And, you know, you might have better relationship with a particular president, but another player mightn't have that same relationship. So it's just a preference. But in terms of the overall scale of things, nothing changes. And I think that little petty politics things of like, if I vote for you, I support you, and if you don't vote for me, I will not support you, and like, that need to change, because only the cricket suffers. And like, over 18 years, 20 years, how many indoor nets you think it have in the Caribbean? How much you think it have in the Caribbean?
Very few, too few.
Maybe 4, and out of those 4, 2 is in Trinidad. 1 in Barbados, they don't use it anymore. I don't know if there's 1 in Antigua, but maybe 3 good indoor facilities. And that is like basic facilities compared to what you would see outside. You know, how much time you see stadiums, gym functioning. They don't have a good infrastructure with gyms at cricket stadiums. So even like the fitness things, you want players to work on the fitness, but they don't have proper conditions to work on the fitness. They don't have proper gyms, they don't have proper stadiums, it's just like, so things need to improve.
If the administration, though, George and DJ Bravo, tells us that money is a huge problem for West Indies and Caribbean cricket, and that the region isn't awash with financial strength as India, Australia, England, South Africa, and so on. Is that a reasonable excuse? Is that something that we have to accept as being something that causes our cricket to be, you know, hamstrung?
I don't think that should be the main excuse, because if we don't have the volume of money like these other countries, we don't have that resources, but at least pick point 1 or 2 places, right? It's like, okay, they're trying to use Antigua now as the home of the region. You know, they should have a next one, not only in Antigua. And, you know, there's some things that they don't need a whole set of money to make it work. Like, there's ways of going about and doing things. Like, I believe, like, you know, in Trinidad system is very strong. But I remember going down to TTCB afternoon to watch the national team practice.
That's at Couva?
In Couva.
Yes.
And what I saw there is exact happened 14 years ago. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And I just walked across to the president's office and said, come. And I take him for a walk.
That's Bassarat.
Bassarat. I take him for a walk, and I carry him into the changing room and the bathroom, and I ask him, would you shower there? I said, would you shower there? Would you work out here? And he watched me like, he shocked him, I never know this is like this. I say, you will never know because you sitting in your office comfortable. Mm-hmm. You will know these things, but these are the things players have to go through. Mm-hmm. Why it is a player you have to have, you're sharing 1 watermelon and cutting it up 25 slices. Like, these things. These things still going on, and it's like when I saw
watermelon.
It's like 1 watermelon, they cut it up in 25 slices. Peace to you, peace to you. Oh. You know, and it was just like.
But you're painting a sorry picture, DJ. We're happy to have you on the show, but I'm suggesting that a lot of our viewers will have a very dim look to the future of West Indies cricket, you know, digesting some of these things that you're saying.
Well, that's reality, and sometimes people don't like the truth. I'm always someone speak the truth, speak from my heart, and that's the reality truth. Our cricket is not in a good shape, and that is just reality. And all hands on deck need to come together. Put politics aside, put cricket first, and let us work to make it better.
We're on the break, Lance, so we're going to take the break now. But a quick question for you. You've not played a lot of it recently, well, in recent years, but regional cricket, based on what you knew before when you used to be a regular in the regional tournaments, and what you've heard from the players that you speak to, the standard, high, low, or in the middle?
I think the standard middle.
Middle.
Say
middle to low or middle to high?
Middle to low.
We're going to talk some more after this break. Back with more DJ Bravo with us.
Khawaja was the toast of the second day of the 4th Ashes Test at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Khawaja resumed on 4 alongside vice-captain Steve Smith on 6, with Australia 126 for 3. England should have had Khawaja on 28, but captain Joe Root couldn't hold on at slip.
That is a big chance there. Just brushed the gloves.
Big chance missed because Khawaja and Smith looked assured and compiled a 115-run third-wicket partnership. In the process, Smith brought up his 33rd Test half century before Stuart Broad made the second new ball count.
Oh, there it is, beautifully bowled. Stuart Broad picks up Steve Smith. That's what England need.
The 35-year-old Khawaja, playing in his first Test since 2019, was undeterred and pushed on to a classic 9th Test century.
The comeback kid comes back for 3. The 9th Test 100 for Usman Khawaja. Uzi's back, and he's big, and he's better than ever, and pumped about it.
He would have entered a score of 137, having spent 410 minutes at the crease, faced 260 deliveries, and struck 13 fours.
Played on. Finally, Stuart Broad gets his 5-wicket haul. And the dismissal of Usman Khawaja. It's been a beautiful innings from Usman Khawaja.
Yeah, Broad is impressive as well, taking 4 of the 5 wickets on the day to end with 5 for 101, as Australia declared on 416 for 8, batting for 134 overs, 87.1 of those on day 2. It left England needing to negotiate 20 minutes, and they managed to do so unscathed. Hasib Hamid and Zach Crawley seeing off 5 overs. England 13 without loss at the close, 403 runs behind Australia's first innings score, and a long way from safety as they desperately try to avoid another whitewash down under.
He goes over the keeper's head. Carey does well just to get a little bit of a fingertip on it.
Of course, Day 3 coverage of this Ashes 4th Test will start half an hour earlier this evening on SportsMax, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern Caribbean time. Let's now hear from the Day 2 star, Usman Khawaja, talking about his celebration after reaching his 100.
Your celebration, it's gone viral on social media. Just talk us through it. So it's the LeBron the Silencer celebration, am I right? Can you enlighten us all?
It's the Silencer. You probably shouldn't do it to a home crowd, but
yeah, I know. That's where I was a little bit confused.
Yeah, it's called the Silencer. It's not really a away crowd sort of thing, but I don't know. I was so excited. Everything just came up to me, and then I love LeBron James. it just felt right. I do it mucking around with the boys all the time, or if I'm playing basketball and hit a few good shots, I do it. So I've had a bit of practice at it. So no, it just happened. Look, as I said, Test cricket, I love Test cricket. Sometimes it feels a bit traditional for my liking, so I like to give it a bit of spark.
Yeah, Khawaja with 100 and Stuart Broad with a fifer, the headliners on the second day of this Ashes Test match. DJ Bravo continues to be our special guest on the SportsMax Zone today. England and Australia would have been regular opponents for you, DJ. Can you comment briefly on what those two teams represented to you as opposing teams? We know how fiercely competitive the Aussies are.
Yeah, it is. I think, those are two teams especially you always want to do well as a player, especially Australia. I remember going to Australia for the very first time and, Lara said to me, if you want people to recognize you in the world, this is the team you have to do well, especially in Australia. So some of my better performances come against Australia and England. But that Ashes is a big one. England struggling at the moment, but there's no match to Australia down there at the moment.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to ask you about the IPL. I know we've dealt with Ashes already, and Ashes is live later on
that's right.
So you can watch it, yeah? So I wanted to talk about IPL and your Purple Cap achievement, because I don't think that enough people in this part of the world, Lance, give the Purple Cap accomplishment the respect that it deserves. It's not normal. You're not going to be a normal cricketer or a normal bowler to finish as with the most wickets, the biggest bag in the IPL at the end of the tournament. And the West Indian has done it, and he didn't do it once
in Indian territory.
And that's the point I'm making.
Yes.
I don't think we rate it enough. It's a hugely significant achievement. Being that guy, DJ Bravo, you remember the verses, being a bounty and, it's the officer, do you want to be that guy? There you go, right? Being the man who has done that, Purple Cap, did you feel after the first time as if you were getting a new level of respect from around the IPL, or even when you went to play for the West Indies as a man who finished top of the pile in the most competitive T20 competition in the world?
Sometimes I just feel like those things go unnoticed, to be honest. Even sometimes when see different people pick different teams and stuff, their best IPL 11 or whatever, you'll watch and see that your name is not there, and it's like some of these people forget some of the things I've done in IPL. To win 3 IPL trophies, 2 Purple Cap, add the runs, the catches, the only cricketer to be nominated in an ESPYs award. So all these accolades, and sometimes it felt as though like you just go under the river. But I also figure that, life is unfair to West Indians at times. That is how I feel personally, not only for myself, but for my fellow teammates. It's like, you'll always see this is the best IPL player, this is the best IPL 11, and you'll struggle to see West Indians, but West Indians dominate IPL the most. Yeah. With bat, with ball, and with titles.
Yeah. Lance, Michael Jordan had something to say. He was asked, he may have been in his book, one of his books, where he said that when he was on a fast break going to the basket, there were like 1,000 things going through his head about what he could do. Am I going to do a tomahawk dunk? Am I going to do a windmill? Am I going to do the Air Jordan? Am I going to pull up in the corner and shoot a 3 or mid-range, whatever it is? Just so many things, because he had the tools to do it. Yeah. So I say that to ask DJ, at the death, we like to talk about death bowling. And when we talk about death bowling, you talk about Lasith Malinga, you talk about DJ Bravo. Because when the death is on, you want ball in hand, one of those two. If you're the fielding team, you have a lot of confidence when that is the case. At the death, DJ, the batsman is in, and he's seeing it big.
Polly or Andre Russell.
Yes. Seeing it big. And you're running in, first 3 balls, gone beyond the boundary. They've hit you. The pressure is on, and the crowd is going wild. The pressure is at its highest. Do you run in thinking about what it is that you can do while you're running in? Is it at the top of your mark that you determine what you're going to do with the ball that you have in hand? how are the dynamics, pressure, expectation, what you're going to do? Tell me all about that at the death when the competition is white hot and the batsman is seeing it big.
There's so many things because you have to factor in a lot of things. You know, those 3 balls go for 6. Why they go for 6? Was it because of poor execution, or was it because of the batter actually play 3 really good shots?
Or being brave, because usually at that time you have to be brave.
As a bowler, you have to accept if a batsman play a really good shot, but you also have to accept if it was a bad delivery. And I always tell to bowlers, your best coach is yourself. At that moment, your best coach is yourself. So every delivery I bowl, I self-coach myself while I'm walking back to my mark. So I'm always ready. I'm always in the contest. And irrespective of the first 3 deliveries, now the next 3 becomes more important. So if those 3 balls go for 18 or 16, but I can shut down the over, the next 2 dot balls and then a wicket, and that over finish with 17 with a wicket and get the danger guy out. That could be a game-changing moment. So in T20, in the death, that one ball is a very important ball. So you always have to be switched on. So that's how I prepare myself, that's how I practice, that's how I analyze the game when it comes to dead bowling.
Yeah. Batsmen taking risks. Look, there was a time, well, I mean, we're all Lara fans here at SportsMax. As you see his picture all over our building. I mean, we're a huge fan. In my mind, look, I'm not old enough to have seen Ivy Richards. You know, Lance and other people have seen him, and they say he's the best ever. I'm not arguing with them, but for me, the greatest cricketer to have walked the face of the earth is Brian Charles Lara. Yeah? Full stop. No argument. Just full stop. Done right here. Yeah? And the thing is, BC Lara made it routine to hit a bowler's best delivery to the boundary and making it easy. Most batsmen would have to wait on a bad ball to dispatch.
Respect the good ones and hit the bad ones.
Lara makes your very best delivery look like
lollipops.
Stupidness. I say that to ask, when you are bowling at the death again, very well you think. You've pitched the right line, your length is good, you're bowling to the field that you've asked the captain to give to you, and the batsman is still seeing it big, DJ, and putting it to the fence. What then do you change in that moment?
I will try over the wicket, I'll try around the wicket. If both in work, I'll say well played to the batter. I'll say well played to the batter, and it's like, no, today is your day. But then I will go back to my room and analyze that game over and over and over, because I will look forward to that battle again. That's how I always want a next moment and a next opportunity to come at you again. So in practice, I will go and practice differently to say, okay, when I come up against George or Lance again, this is what I want to do. Let me see them counteract this. That's how I do myself.
Are you the kind... Oh, go ahead, Lance.
I have a quick one. Go ahead, George.
No, I was going to say, are you the kind of bowler, if late in the game, you're bowling and the batsman is beating you, but you get into sky one, and it's dropped, and you go on and you lose the game. Are you the kind of person who goes to the dressing room and gives an earful to the fielder on the field, off the field, or you just leave it and move on to the next?
I don't watch the drop catch. I will always try to analyze my bowling performance again, like the deliveries, my execution.
I have a quick one going to the break. When people are retiring, DJ Bravo, we hear about, building long life friendships and so lifelong friendships and so on. What has been your relationship with Marlon Samuels? Because he's on social media very regularly saying some not so nice things about Dwayne Bravo and some of his former teammates.
Yeah, that's strange. That guy is a happy guy. The icon, big up to him. Like I said in previous interviews, me and Marlon was teammates. We'll never be friends, and that is just the reality.
But why not?
It's sad. He don't have no friends. That's not my problem, that's his problem. If you play 18 or 17 years as a professional athlete with teammates, and you can say bold and publicly you don't have friends, there's something wrong with you. That doesn't beat anybody else. Like, I good at anybody. As you can say, I can pick up the phone and call anybody, any player, any woman, anybody. Yeah. Right? With this guy, I don't know, he just believe that the world or somebody owe him something. And that's just him. But if I see Marlon now, I'll talk to him. I have no problem with Marlon. I have no problem with Wavell. You know, I just don't agree with some of the things they do. You know, but that doesn't mean to say I will lose sleep over someone like Marlon Samuels or Wavell. I don't know what they're doing now. Social media is his thing. That's not my thing. He sings songs. He sent for me and all. I will not answer back Marlon Samuels in a song. Like, I'm not a clash. I'm not an artist to clash or answer back. That's not my thing. That's not my brand. That's not what I am known for. So, but I wish him all the best. I don't know where he is, if he's in Jamaica. Like, I'm here in Jamaica, I will message Marlon, but I already messaged Gail. Yo, I'm coming. You know, I'm here. Whoever the case is, I hit up Russell, you know, these men, these are my people. I respect them, they respect me. Respect go both ways, but Marlon, I don't know.
Break time?
Yes.
Zone updates time next, and your chance to get some questions in for DJ Bravo after this.